Well, we're back, of course, in Still Global Morning. It's high time we get into the conversation proper. And there's something very interesting that we tend to not pay attention to, and it's actually affecting the economy on every side. And it's high time we get into this conversation and make us see reasons why we can't have our mindsets always looking at the very, I don't know how we commonize it. I think that's the simplest way to put it out, right? But welcome to the discussion segment of Global Morning. Well, let's give you this guide to read. Well, across Nigeria, thousands of entrepreneurs provide products and services to government institutions, private organizations, and corporate bodies. But while many fulfill their contractual obligations, getting paid on time remains a major challenge. And that's becoming a problem for us as a nation.
Of course, delayed payment has become one of the biggest problems facing our economy, especially with small businesses today. And they have a lot of challenges that you see. You make payments for months. Sometimes they struggle with paying salaries of their staff because why the payments are delayed. You see loans and all of those things. Those challenges, all of those things, all because of delayed payment. So it's something that I think everyone can relate. It's a very relatable conversation because all of us, even if we are not business people, we've experienced that in our daily lives, and we know the inconvenience that has caused for us.
But when it comes to business, it's even more
it's more critical,
and very concerning that we need to pay attention. Well, many vendors struggle to pay staff, just like Mutera said, service bank loans, because they cannot even just say, sometimes they need a little help here and there, to purchase the raw materials they use. Market and then you can't tell them to give you something later for free. Exactly. They have to pay for all of those raw materials, or even remain in business is becoming a problem because, of course, you have invoices coming in, and all of this is remain unpaid for months, and sometimes it runs into years. There was even recently we saw a trending story on the socials where someone had to drag somebody over payments, and it's not something we want to put out. Well, we have this raises a critical question about accountability, contract ethics, and the sustainability of Nigeria's business ecosystem.
Honestly, it's worrisome because the ecosystem is one that's built on trust, built on accountability, and if you have delayed payment, these are hindrances that will that would hinder our businesses. We've been clamoring for, especially our MSMEs, to grow. But with these challenges, if they're not tackled, we'll have a long way to go. So it's something that's very critical that we have this conversation today and find a way to honestly find solutions to these problems.
Okay, Mutsar. Well, today we want to ask a lot of questions to how this can get out. Why are vendors not being paid on time? I often ask that question, why are we not paying them on time? What's the challenge? And then also, who bears the biggest burden from all of this? Of course, we know it's the business owner. Because if he supplies, he takes out his own money to say, I want to run this, and then he ends up not getting paid. And then he's owing people are dragging him.
Social media.
and now we have social media, which is a major cause of concern. But how does this affect Nigeria's economy is the question we also want to ask. And then look at all those things and what practical solutions can restore businesses
and confidence in
confidence on a lot of business, and also with good partnership, all of that's coming to stay out for the business owners. And what's a way to go about this conversation? We have someone who understands this from different points of views. We want to guide you to know who this person is, looking at the mindsets and all the experience he has in this network or with his work with people, where he's experienced, where he's seen what it is like talking about all of this and how it plays out well. Joining us is a very important person. But let me give you his breakdown of who he is so you understand why we had to hail him this much. He's a lead consultant, a communication strategist, also a media trainer, and he's a highly accomplished communication strategist, a media trainer, and also an entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in journalism, strategic communication, and media development. He began his career at DAC Communications, where he rose from radio journalist to television presenter, reporter, producer, and senior editorial leader. He later served as head of the entertainment and style desk at AIT News, led the business and economy desk, and also became a member of the AIT editorial board before concluding his tenure in 2018. Well, Mr. Emmanuel is the founder and lead consultant of SENEMA Productions Limited, a media and communications company established in 2011. Through SENEMA, he has led high-impact communication campaigns, produced compelling multimedia content, and deliver training programs that strengthen journalism, storytelling, and strategic messaging across Nigeria. A respected media trainer, Emmanuel has facilitated capacity building programs for organizations, including Search for Common Ground. One of the reasons why we need to bring him to speak on this issue, the Center for Domestic Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, House on the Rock, and Star Cross TV. His expertise spans conflict-sensitive journalism, broadcast presentation, curriculum development, and media advocacy. As a communication strategist, he has worked with prominent national and international organizations, including the National Council on Nutrition Delivery Unit, International Human Rights Commission, that's UNIDO, DFID programs, budgets, and also the World Bank Group, EU, ECOWAS program in Nigeria. Emmanuel holds a degree in theater arts and from the University of Benin and an MBA from Nasarawa State University, Kefi. He's a member of the African Business School, Abuja, an ambassador for the Project Management Consultants of Nigeria, and the initiator of the Pay Vendors Fast campaign, which advocates timely payments for vendors and service providers. With his blend of editorial leadership, strategic insights, and also commitment to professional development, Emmanuel continues to shape impactful narratives and build communication across capacity across sectors. We have all of that written about him.
Impressive resume.
Very impressive, and one of the reasons why we had to bring on set with us this amazing expert in person of Mr. Emmanuel OHIOMOKHARE. It's good to have you join us on the program. Thank you so much for finding out time from your busy schedule to be here. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much, Anita. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it, because I was gambling between why you're going to be here in person or you're going to be from, join us virtually or all of that. But it's good that we have you to speak on this issue, because, of course, when you started this conversation, I saw your video making the public appeal and saying vendors are suffering and it's a problem to small businesses, which is a major guide to the economy in terms of business structure. So let's talk about let's understand the narrative or the problem with delayed payments for vendors.
Okay, so you actually started the narrative.
Okay.
You started it when you talked about the fact that when a client or organization, maybe also be government, when I mean government, I'm talking of MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, may say, okay, we want to do this, we want to purchase or procure equipment, we want to procure something, we need contractors. Those days we used to call them general contractors.
Exactly.
Okay? So you want to do some service. Like for me, I'm a service provider.
Sure.
So you want to do this, so let's do it. Okay, so this is what you are supposed to do, or you're supposed to procure, or what you're supposed to do as a service provider. And did I ask you, okay, what's the terms of payment? Usually there is a contract or an agreement, and there is a terms of payment there. Maybe they may tell you, we can't pay you anything up front.
Sure.
We'll pay you something. We'll pay you everything at the end of supplies when we have confirmed that is okay.
It's done.
Or they may say we'll pay you a certain percentage before the thing is provided, or the service is provided, or the goods are supplied. And you supply, you deliver, it is confirmed. Now they say, okay, we will pay you maybe 15 days or at most 30 days after you supply, either your balance or all your monies, depending on the initial arrangement. And then you wait 15 days. If the bill was 15 days, nothing happens. You wait 30 days, nothing happens. So now this spans sometimes to 6 months, 1 year.
And it's a problem.
It's a major issue, because that is the life wire of every business.
Sure.
I'm a service provider. I mean, if I do business with 1, 2, 3, 4 organizations, a lot of them are saying, we'll pay you 1 year, we'll pay you in 30 days, or we'll pay you in 15 days, and you're waiting 60 days, you're waiting 90 days, and you're waiting 6 months, and you're waiting 1 year, and you mentioned it. You have salaries to pay. You have other sub-vendors that you have worked with. And yet, there's nothing. So, it's a major problem. There's cash flow issue. And sometimes, just like you mentioned, you go and borrow money to be able to achieve this. And you borrow them either from banks or from what I term Shylocks. But those so-called Shylocks are the people who will give you loans at short notice.
I'm telling you.
Because, for instance, they tell you, supply this, we need you to be able to supply it in 30 days. And you know in 30 days, or probably in 1 week, let's actually be more realistic. Want you to supply this in 1 week, or want you to be able to deliver this in 2 weeks. And you know that if you go to the bank and begin to apply for loan, before you ask for collateral, before you ask for this, but there are some people, and the banks, yes, the banks will give you that, and maybe give you the loans at, especially like a small business, because I'm concentrating on small businesses, and they'll give you the loans probably at 7 to 10%, depending on your bank. But when you go to these Shylocks, they will give you from 10 to 15%, because the risk is higher.
Sure.
So they allow you to take the monies, and so you get the money faster. But then when it is time to pay, and guess what? The banks are giving you maybe at 7 or 10%. Even if they give you 10%, they are giving you at 10% for probably 1 year annually. But these Shylocks give you at 10% monthly. So instead of paying a 10% that is annually, you are paying 10% monthly. And these issues keep on going. I mean, you have the timing is going, your interest rates are rising, and then you come to a deadlock. By the time they finally pay you the monies, it is so unfortunate that at that time, your interest sometimes is more than the money you borrowed.
Very true.
You pay the principal and you now start paying the interest. And so you have nothing to gain. That is even for people who borrow you money. Then you have staff who you need to pay salaries. So why do you have to pay delay payments? Because I know I have to also, I have obligations too. But a lot of these come in not because you ask yourself, why is it that, especially for, let's say, private organizations,
Okay.
before you go for a procurement or you want something to do some services, I'm sure you have set the money aside. Why do you have to delay?
Okay.
My investigations have found out that not that they don't even have the money to pay, but there are some people who sit upon this thing, or some people who don't feel it is important to treat these issues. And is it not the vendor? He should wait. We will pay him. And probably all they need is just a signature or approved.
Sure.
And then they allow this, they linger on, and people suffer. The chain effect is just devastating. And so if you must give businesses to vendors, make sure you are ready to pay them fast.
Okay.
That is my call. And that's why I started this campaign. And when I started it, a lot of people thought, I mean, somebody asked me, are you ready for this war you have to take? And I asked, what war? And you know why it is a war? Because people feel that, I mean, clients, organizations who give vendors, small businesses, jobs, they think when you complain, you are not patient enough. And so they also intimidate you.
Okay.
They ask you, if you're going to continue disturbing us for your money like this, when next we have business, we won't give you money. Okay. And so they just relax. The vendors just relax and say, okay, no problem. Whenever you are ready to pay, you pay, because I need more business. Your own small business is dying.
Okay, so that's a mindset that is a problem, Mukhtar, and we need to look at this squarely, Mr. Emmanuel. Let's talk about how this is affecting in terms of challenges, just like you've mentioned, you've been in a lot of instances. And I think it's becoming a mindset, and that's why I have a problem. Because payments is very important. You've listed a whole lot of things that needs to come to play with the vendor himself. And this is becoming a serious challenge for them. So how widespread is this challenge in Nigeria? Because we're using Nigeria as a case study with the government and the private sector, because it's affecting the small, medium businesses, enterprises who have small money to start up. Because we always encourage people to start up businesses. But because you want to keep getting contracts, you keep killing your business, which is a challenge. So to walk us through that.
I'd like to chip in something here, Mr. Emmanuel, because the government, most times, they think it's just the small businesses that are affected. But if you look at it, it affects our overall economy. So I'd like for you to speak to how it affects the overall economy of Nigeria and how we're doing ourselves a disservice by delaying these payments.
Thank you very much, my brother. Because I'm going to start from that. Do you know that informal business occupies 60% of the Nigerian GDP? 60% or more. Now, these informal businesses are the ones going through these pains. Everybody is going through this pain. All these small businesses. You ask how widespread it is. It has become this delayed payment culture. It is becoming a culture.
Okay.
And it's a culture we must stop in Nigeria. It's very widespread because it started with government. You've seen contractors go to complain or protest in Federal Ministry of Finance. You think they just want to protest? Their families are dying. Their people's incomes are affected. I told you before about the chain effect. I told you before about how it affects workers. There's some vendors. Those some vendors have families. I have a family if I am the major vendor. So, the funny thing is, it is becoming a terrible culture which we want to adopt in this country, and we must stop it. It's not a good culture because government is doing it, private institutions are doing it, non-governmental organizations are doing it, and now guess what? International institutions who come to deal with local vendors in Nigeria, they see the way others are treating the vendors. So you ask yourself, if they can treat themselves like that, who are we? Let's follow the culture. So international organizations follow the culture. And we see that growing trend, but we must nip it on the bud.
Okay.
If we must have good corporate governance, because this belongs to, and I call on the International Institute of Directors. The Institute of Directors, rather, the Nigerian Institute of Directors, the IOD. They must take this as a campaign to pay vendors fast. Do not delay payments. Don't be that person who will sit down on a payment just because
you are the boss.
You are the boss. I have an instance of somebody who, a job that I did, and all I needed to do, I was waiting for this payments. They gave me a 10 working days. After I submit my invoice, they had cleared said, okay, everything is okay with my job. 10 working days after, I should get my payment. That 10 working days turned to 3 months. It's when it became 3 months, I now did a mail. And somebody advised me that I should copy their international partners. And when I copied the international partners, I did a mail on a Sunday. They were owing me 2 tranches.
Wow.
I did a mail on a Sunday. On Monday, I got my payment.
Interesting.
On Friday, I got the last payment. So, why do we have to go through all that? Why do people have to be threatened? Why some people write as my lawyer, when they now talk about legal consequences, that's when people now rush to pay. So what was stopping you? Why do we have to allow things to go this bad before we make these payments? Those are the issues?
Mr. Manuel, I like the fact that we've pushed this to the economy side, Mutar, and we feel how, for someone like you who understands, that's why you would take the steps, and you understand how to deal with this situation. We'll see how delayed payment has affected business cash flow, because of course you mentioned it's the cash flow needs to be there because you have basic things to meet up with this money, and of course there's a transaction, so it should go in that same way. So one thing that comes into play is what happens when these vendors cannot meet their financial obligations, because like you said, you were owed 2 tranches, you had to do a meal, sometimes just come in 10 days became longer than the time promised. And I'm always worried in most cases, why do finance departments delays, because part of the call you made.
Very important. And one thing I like Mr. Emmanuel to address is what you just said, because they will tell you it is due process. So I'd like for him to speak to that particular point where they say we have to do our due diligence, back end findings before we release that payment. Is that just rhetorics, or are they facts to that particular assertion that those people make before they make those payments?
There are facts and there are rhetorics.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what I mean.
All right.
There are facts because, of course, there has to be due diligence.
Okay.
You know, that's why they give that 15 days or 30 days. It's for the due diligence. So there are facts. They have to do the due diligence. But it becomes rhetorics when that due diligence is probably done in 2 days, and say, or even ignored until they feel it is time. I mean, you have not many gods in some of these places, especially these finance departments, when these payments need to be made. Not many gods there now. It's not yet time, we will treat that file later. They do things. So I am not saying that payments are the only jobs that they do.
Of course.
So, of course, you have to put into consideration all the other jobs they do. But payments are part of your core. Why is it that organizations don't put into their when you appraise a staff, say what is left from your payments in a month? You appraise your staff and say how much have you been able to pay from our vendors? What is left? What is keeping it? We should be able to put it as part of our appraisals and be able to ask those staff why they are delaying in paying those monies, because it's not that we do not have the monies to pay. We have the monies to pay. So it affects. It's something that, and somebody has advised that because I'm going towards solutions now. Somebody has advised that because I also noticed that most of our small businesses don't look at the fine prints of contracts or agreements.
Okay.
So when you don't look at those fine prints, it brings problems. If you get a contract, I know we are so eager to sign those contracts or those agreements. When you see the money, you want to sign. But is it possible to have a lawyer friend? It's very, very small business. If you can't afford the services of a lawyer, have a lawyer friend check it out for you and say, okay, see the implication of you signing this.
Very important.
So when you sign and the other people are not keeping to their end of the bargain, you have a right to write. And try as much as possible in these organizations, try to know their legal department. Don't only know their procurement department or your contact person. Try to know their legal department so that you can write at the end. Because when you write to the legal department, because the people at the procurement or the finances, they may not understand the import of their actions. But those in the legal department will probably understand and make them understand.
Okay.
That's one of the solutions that I bring to the table this day, at least to those our vendors.
So you talked about the legal point of view, which is very important. I'd like for us to look at the regulators, the CBN and all of these financial regulators we have in Nigeria. What roles have they done in helping the situations become better, or have they not played their roles? That's why these people get away, because what you've talked about, we've seen a lot of impunity. People don't get punished. So why have these regulators not swooped in to do their due diligence as per how the law has given them the power?
The CBN is not really the regulator here. The regulator is not really a regulator, but someone who can cry out to is the FCCPC. Because the vendor becomes a consumer at this point. The vendor's rights, many vendors don't know their rights. And the FCCPC can help to follow up on this campaign. FCCPC and the NOE, the National Orientation Agency. Let us, because they need to reorient Nigerians, Nigerian organizations, the government themselves on some of these issues and the implications of delayed payment culture. They need to reorient them. The FCCPC should be able to come in with a stand to say Nigerian vendors deserve to be paid as and at when due.
Okay.
Because when you don't do this, there are implications, there are consequences, and most of the time, just like you said, the consequences are borne by the vendors themselves.
Okay, so I'm concerned about how this affects the vendors, just like you've mentioned in a lot of scenarios. And let's look at the large economy, how these delay payments contribute to unemployment. Because like you said, if people don't understand the rhetorics of this, understand their legal points of view, the FCCPC coming to guide them, walk them through this, it becomes a problem. Because first thing first, you had small money, you started a business, and then you employed a few hands of the human capital to also support that business, and then you get a contract. And of course, the first contract, just like your scenario, if you didn't have the backing to walk through that business, you probably would have been stopped, and then unemployment starts ruling for your staff. So now unemployment is a problem which Nigerians or the young minds in Nigeria are looking for a balance through businesses. So how much does this payment delay affect the Nigeria's economic productivity, which is a major concern, and then also the ripple effects consumers eventually experience in the long run with all of this? For those who are now, because of course this is your call, #pay vendors now, it's actually a call to help them understand their rights and how to go about getting payments so it doesn't kill the business.
You see, when you were asking this question, I sighed, because the truth is, just like you say, I told you about delayed salaries. I told you about the fact that the issues affect not only the businesses,
yes,
but it affects the workers.
True.
Definitely, if I cannot continue paying, or I cannot afford to pay my workers, I will let them go. Let me tell you, you know that Nigeria is full of malls. In each mall, there are at least 100 business owners in each of those malls. Each of those malls employ maybe at least five members of staff. Now, imagine each mall having 5 members of staff, and they do businesses with organizations, the big organizations, and then the payments are delayed. It means that in each mall, 100 businesses, 500 people work. Of course, if vendors are paid fast, if vendors are paid as and at when due, if businesses continue to flow, the economy will continue to grow, people will begin, I will employ more. If I have 5 staff and my business, I begin to scale. Once I scale, I will employ 10.
Of course.
As I scale, I will get to 1,000. And before you know, I grow from small to medium.
True.
So no matter what, it cascades. This is why we must be fair to each other. We are all in business. The big organization is in business. The small organization is in business.
True.
So be fair to each other. Government is in the business of governance, but for you to be in the business of governance, you need those small businesses to be able to do your biddings. In other words, if you give them contracts to be able to do, if you don't pay them, they will not grow.
Sure.
And if you don't pay them, they will not be able to do. You will not be able to see businesses or small vendors to actualize your dreams as government. And then on the other side, you will kill businesses, kill small businesses, and then you have no economy to run. So some people ask me, why are you so passionate about this? I'm passionate about it because it's also about Nigeria.
Of course.
It's not just about me, it's about Nigeria. It's about growing small businesses. It's about making small businesses scale. You want small businesses to scale, and yet you do not give them the lifeline that they need. They will begin to die. What someone should do a study. What is the death rate of businesses? I remember somebody said, if your business can survive 2 years once you start, then you can be able to survive. But we've seen businesses closing shop after 10 years in Nigeria. The 2 years is because of consistency, commitment, and your ability to be able to go through the sacrifices of that teaching stage. It's supposed to be a two-year teaching stage.
Sure.
But in 10 years, you are still in teaching stage.
That's a problem.
Because of things like this. Because it's first hard to get the business. It's hard to get even a contract. Then you get a contract and you actually celebrate it. Then the next thing, you are going through challenges, major challenges that turns your business fortunes around. Not for the good,
At all.
but for the worse.
Now, so I'd like for us to look at dispute resolution, how these vendors can better find a middle ground. Is because I've seen a lot of protests, rightly so, and some of them are in court, but the process is quite expensive. So, in your own opinion,
Expensive and long.
Very long, very tedious. So, in your opinion, how can this dispute be resolved over time so that it doesn't go worse?
Government has a lot to do with this. I want to call on government, please. Is there a way we can come up with a policy? I don't know who is going to do it, whether it's the FCCPC or the Nigerian government or the president will sign an executive order on how. I know there's to an extent to which the government can interfere in private businesses, but at least if we make it a law that if you are doing, is it in business, if you're doing business, you should have it shouldn't be more than a 30-day period, because we need policies, strong implementable policies to be able to achieve this. Government has to take the driver's seat in this. And then the IOD, Institute of Directors, I want to call on them to also follow suit. And when IOD follows, because IOD is always talking about corporate governance, they're always talking about good corporate governance. And when you talk about good corporate governance, you are also talking about, this is part of it. This is part of good corporate governance. Paying vendors as and at when due, not owning vendors, not allowing small businesses to die. When a professional organization like the IOD follows suit, then we will have other professional bodies following suit. Businesses should be able to keep to their word. If you run an organization, if you are a finance director, look at your conscience and see how your actions help small businesses. Look at how your actions help small businesses to grow. Is your action killing them or your action making them grow? That is what you should think about. And we should less think, because I know there's a lot of corruption in this whole setup. There's a lot of corruption because some people will say keep their file, they never settle. I mean, I don't want to call it a Nigerian thing, because I don't feel comfortable calling things Nigerian things again, because corruption is not a Nigerian thing. Corruption is alien to us, and we must make it alien. As soon as we begin to see corruption as alien, because corruption continues to thrive in this country because we do not see it as alien. But when we begin to see corruption as alien, then we will know that. I mean, people will begin to see that it's not the way they do it, because they say it's the system. This is the way they do it, so we have to do it this way. No, it is very alien. We don't even know it. Do you know corruption? No. So this pay vendors fast has different legs, and one of it is to also curb corruption. in finance departments of organizations so that they look at their conscience. That's why the National Orientation Agency has to come in.
Okay, so I like the fact that you talked about the finance departments and the instead of directors to pay attention to this, because they talk about corporate governance and how this is playing out well. Yes, we've called on governments to look out for stricter laws and all that. Apart from the government, you also talked about private institutions, and one of those institutions I want to talk about is the financial institutions. What role they can also play to ensure that these finance departments in the different sectors or MDAs can do to fast track payments. And also one other thing I'm also want to ask you right now is, how can digital invoicing improve accountability? You know, just like you said, part of what you did was to send out mails to follow up on yours, and then yours had to come in very fast. How can we use digital advocacy to ensure that invoicing can come out
very important
as well, and then the responsibility that the clients actually have towards the vendors? Because like you said about when you see contract, don't get too excited. Have legal advice on that. If you understand those legal terms and conditions, you will know the responsibilities of the client towards you as a vendor, and you'll be able to call in legal bodies. But I want to speak to the issue around other financial institutions that can also come to look at these roles that they can do for finance departments to play their role really fast and stop killing businesses that could improve the economy of the nation.
Well, the finance departments, financial institutions only come in when there are troubles with banking, or where because the major thing is like, Aniti, I do business for you. Let's say you wanted chickens, and you say, Emmanuel, I hear you supply chickens. I say, okay. He say, yes, okay, give me 100 chickens, and I give you the 100 chickens. Now, if I give you the 100 chickens and you don't pay me on time, does your bank have anything to do with it? Really, your bank doesn't have anything to do with it. The only time your bank will have something to do with it is you pay me, you use one bank. I use bank A, I use bank B. So now you send me the money through bank A to bank B, and bank A is not ready to remit, or is not having network issues, having challenges, so you cannot remit. You told me that you will pay me before in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you make the payment. Bank A you made the payment through your bank A, but bank A cannot remit to bank B because of network challenges and their issues, their personal, they have this the clearing issues, clearing banks and all that. Of course, you have the settlement bank, the national settlement system. So that is where financial institutions really come in to this. Another way financial institutions, can come in, and I'll bring the government again, or financial institutions, maybe. Well, financial institutions, how can you help? You can help by partnering with government.
Okay.
Government, because I know sometimes, especially for government contracts, is because there is shortage of funds. But let us partner with government. If you partner with government and they create a special fund for vendors, where vendors can go and take funds at very little rate, barely, in fact, from 1-2% rate, and per annum, 1-2% rate per annum, and then when these vendors are able to access this and do their businesses, if it is with government, they do their businesses with government. If government fails to pay at the right time, they too will fail to pay at the right time. It is government that is also suffering. It's not only, so they are sharing the burdens. Another thing that can be done, which which is also, I hear they do it in Canada, we could do this. If an organization or client is owing a vendor beyond the stipulated time, interest should begin to accrue.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Interest should begin to accrue on that payment. So by the time, if you delay, if you were to pay me in 15 days and you pay me finally in 45 days, you pay the rest 30 days interest. So we share the burden. Let's say you were to pay me in 30 days, you pay me in 60 days, you share the burden. So the burden is less, because at this point the vendor takes 100% of the burden. Then you talked of digital invoicing. Digital invoicing is, in fact, that is a major issue that we have to bring into government, because digital invoicing is well established in the private sector. But in government, everybody wants to see hard copy. But digital invoicing helps for accountability. When you have a digital, because we are at this age and time, e-governance. Digital invoicing is part of e-governance. I mean, if you have a bank where invoicing is done on your system, you should be able to see. It will ease payments even. Because through digital invoicing, you'll be able to see on your system, oh, these have been paid, this is not yet paid, this is where this is due. So you can see the importance of bringing in digital invoicing, not only to private institutions, but also to government.
Well, amazing discussion so far, but let's wrap this up with speaking to you on this final note. What's one advice you'd want to give to a small business owner at this point in time? Because with this campaign and this drive, I trust you as a passionate person who understands business dealings. What's one advice you would give to a small business owner so he doesn't kill his business, which is also a contributing business to the growth of the nation's economy, and that's the GDP of the economy, before we let it go?
I have talked about the advice of looking at the fine prints of contracts. You must look at the fine prints of contracts. That's very, very important. Secondly, businesses, small businesses, don't take more than what you can chew. Don't take more than what you can chew. We know that we all want to grow. We know that we all want to scale up. The Nigerian economy is not smiling on anybody right now. We know with the high cost of transportation, high cost of energy. I mean, we used to complain 5-10 years ago that it was high. But today we know the true meaning of high. And we really pray it doesn't get higher than this. So the Nigerian economy is not smiling on any of us. I'm a small business owner too. So let us do well to not take more than we can chew. And let us also be very straightforward in our dealings, business dealings with big organizations. Do what you must do, but try as much as possible to be straightforward so that you too can fight for your rights.
I like that.
Very important, fighting for your rights and being straightforward.
When you understand your rights, understand how this plays out, you know that it's not just you alone, it's you saving the future generation. Because if you start a business, you're starting it because you want to leave it on to the next generation, giving them a mindset that they can build capacity and not be drowned in poverty. Because you first got the idea to that business because you wanted to grow, you want to make income, you want to be stable as a person. So I want to say thank you so much for your time with us. It's been fantastic, quite in-depth here, and this is really a call for accountability. This is really a call for not to kill businesses, because small businesses, just like we have smallholder farmers, we're calling for them to survive and thrive, because the GDP of the nation needs to stand tall. We need to see where the government can say, okay, there are funds coming in here and there, and the nation can do better instead of always going to borrow.
Like you said, small businesses, they constitute the majority. So if you kill them, you are invariably killing your economy. So
of course, and it's not the best way to go at all.
Not.
Well, let's tell you that Nigeria's economy depends not only on major corporations, but also on the millions of entrepreneurs who provide essential goods and services every day. Ensuring that vendors receive timely payments is more than a contractual obligation. It is an investment in economic growth, job creation, and business sustainability. And of course, our appreciation goes to our guest, Mr. EMMANUEL who has been perfect with us so far, a communication expert, like we mentioned, and he's the founder and CEO of SENEMA Productions there, where he's done fantastic. He's also a media entrepreneur. Please understand his background. And then, of course, he's the leader and the voice to the Pay Vendor Now, or today, whatever you want to, but ensure that vendors get their money on time, because the small businesses need to try. Thank you so much, Mr. EMMANUEL, for coming to the program Global Morning. What a way to start the weekend. Of course, for those who are vendors going for venues of events today, ensure that you go your events right, so that you don't get stranded and kill your business, of course, with time.
Of course, very important. And this, for me, is a wake-up call to government, to business owners, because, like he said, very straightforward for the business owners, and then for the government, please do the needful. It's very important. Don't kill our economy. Let the economy breathe.
I like the fact to let the economy breathe. Thank you so much, our guest. It's been fantastic with you on the program. We hope to get you back when results start rolling in, and we see small business owners saying, we've gotten our results, of course, because we had someone who had to stand up to speak on this issue. Well, it's still Global Morning, and we have a whole lot lined up for us today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.